Tonight, Meghan Markle has taken centre stage at the One Young World Summit in Manchester, delivering her first speech in Britain since she and Prince Harry moved away 2 years ago. With a smiling Harry looking on, Meghan told the international youngsters in the audience that they were the future, but also the present, driving the positive and necessary change needed across the globe.
It is very nice to be back in the UK. It was several years ago, in 2014, that I was first invited to be a counselor at One Young World. There were about 20 to 30 of us for the counselors, and there I was the girl from Suits. I am thrilled that my husband is able to join me here this time. To be able to see and witness firsthand my respect for this organization, this incredible organization, and all that it provides as well as accomplishes.
And you know, what's not to love about absolutely every single... Sorry. I mean, let's try and be even-handed about this. You know, she's trying to do a good thing in a good place with young people. Is it necessary to decry her for these efforts, Nicola?
Yeah, exactly. I think there's been an unfair amount of scrutiny on Meghan today. At the end of the day, she's just doing a speech at a charity event, as many celebrities do, many serving members of the royal family do. And she did a fantastic job. She was, we watched it earlier. It's very American, very kind of acceptance speechy. But I think there's been an unfair amount of scrutiny on this particular address.
Totally disagree. I just think she's so fake. She's obviously acting. So happy to be back in Britain, the racist country that she had to leave because she couldn't stand living here anymore. She calls the press racist. She calls the royal family racist. She calls the people racist. She said she didn't even know what it was like to be a black woman until she came here. I mean, I just don't think she's welcome here. I don't think she's doing any good for anybody. And I don't know anybody young who looks up to her and thinks, oh, I wish I was like her.
There's nothing wrong with her, what she did today, and they even took the trouble to go by train. Very humble of them, both Harry and her. Nothing wrong with the speech she made and the cause that she was representing there. But, of course, the backdrop to her visit here and Harry's visit is incredibly rancid. You know, her Spotify podcasts pouring buckets of brown stuff all over this country, all over the royal family, and then, of course, her interview in the Cut magazine, 6,000 words of vitriol, all about how terrible this country was. It's full of racists, full of people who hate ambitious women. Who are these racists? Who are these people who hate ambitious women? She never names them. She creates false narratives with fake pantomime villains to depict herself as a villain. So that's the problem.
So
it's not the speech today, it's the backdrop.
Is she being vilified unnecessarily? Is it unfair? Is it the wrong emphasis? Is she just somebody giving a speech for a good cause in a nice way? And let's face it, if you look at Liz Truss's speech today and you look at Meghan's speech, there's no question that, anybody, I think, would rather listen to Meghan making a speech on any subject than Liz Truss making a speech.
I was disappointed you didn't mention pork markets, to be honest, in her speech. I mean, I disagree with my learned male colleagues on the panel. I was really, really shocked, actually, at how Meghan Markle was treated. When she first came on the scene, I thought it was very, very positive and that this was going to be an incredibly big moment for the royal family, for British society. But I disagree. I think she did have a lot of bullying. I think she did have a lot of pretty unfair treatment. And I think she did have racist treatment. And I was actually hosting some phone-in radio shows at the time. And I was quite shocked, actually, at what some of the callers were calling in with. I had messages on social media to me after the interview saying, there ain't no black in the Union Jack, and things like that. So I do think there was an element of that kind of horrible street-level thug racism, which thankfully is on the wane, but you see it more on social media. And then I think there was a lot of kind of quite snobby structural discrimination against her. And I think part of it was there was a feeling from the upper echelons of this society that if somebody like her was coming into the royal family, she ought to be damn grateful, never complain, never kick up a fuss, and because she did, she will forever be punished for it.
But don't you think anybody who joined the royal family, it doesn't matter which race, which country, married before, not married before, would be expected by most British people to be grateful.
So
and also not only that, but to have some concept of what you're joining, to know in advance, you know, what it is that's going to be incumbent upon you, and then to do it gracefully and graciously and enjoy it.
No,
You know, after all, if you compare it with the lives of most people are about to face the flipping standard of living crisis, you know, she was having a marvellous time.
But I think that's a very simplistic view of it. Most women that have entered the royal family have had a absolutely horrific time. Just look at Diana. And I think all women that enter the royal family have a really hard time. But if you look proportionately at none of the other female members of the royal family have been accused of, because of the type of snack that they like, of causing war. I mean, some of the press coverage was borderline hysterical.
Not many women join the royal family and then go on to Oprah and tell 15 lies, do they?
Well,
That's
Diana
the problem
did her own
with
interviews after she left.
She
the royal
didn't
family.
lie.
Yeah, but she didn't tell
She
any
didn't
lies
lie.
about it.
But
I think
neither
the point is... the trouble
She
is-
lied 15 times to Oprah.
She said that
Well,
it
it's
would
been-
make up
yeah.
she a prince.
Well, she has admitted
lots of
that
things
she
weren't
was
Yeah,
talking
she said
about
it was
her
her
feelings.
truth. It was her feelings.
It's her feelings.
In
And
other
that's
words,
the point.
lies.
I think-
Another
I think
word
the-
for lies.
I think the difficulty
Your
here
own
is that...
feelings are not lies.
They're not lies.
Well, they are
Not
if
truth
they're
either.
talking
Truth
about
either,
the
they're not
facts.
facts,
She
right?
talks about her truth as opposed to the truth.
The problem is, right, in the end, you're talking about her as if she's some kind of sainted figure. She isn't. They've come 6,000 miles. They're not even going to visit his brother. They're not going to visit his grandmother,
Well, the brother
who might
hasn't
not be
visited
alive.
them either.
Yeah, but the point is that let's not paint them all as one people...
We're not painting her as a saint.
No, well, no, you're painting her as a saint, and you're saying that anyone who criticises her is entirely wrong. I don't think that's right. But let's talk as well about
made her own
security.
bed. She's made
She
her
has.
own bed.
They all have.
Let's
Mike.
not forget,
They all
right?
have.
Let's not forget, the last time that they were going to come here, Harry decided that he would like to have some extra security and he wanted to pay the police to secure him and make sure that he was looked after better than he would otherwise be. Now, apparently, they're using 2 private security firms and dog teams to form a ring of steel around Bridgewater Hall in Manchester. Kevin, you mentioned that they came on the train. They sort of took a nice Range Rover to... which doesn't look very green.
It was a hybrid. It was a hybrid. They were very careful about this journey. But it's quite right that they don't get police protection. He's not a frontline working royal anymore. And his entitled bid to sue the Home Office to demand police protection
by the way.
is pathetic. What's happened today is what the logical thing should be, which is 2 multi-millionaires pay for their own security. Fine and dandy. So good arrangement today, and he doesn't deserve police protection.
I think he does deserve to pay for his own police protection. We
No,
still
you can't pay for your own police protection. He has to pay for his own security protection. You can't.
But he's
You can't
offered-
give the police money to look
But
after
he
you.
has offered to pay the police for the cost that
Yes,
they would incur.
But you can't
you
do
can't
that.
do
You
that.
can't do that.
But lots
They're
of
not a
press-
service for hire. You can't pay the police to
Okay.
protect you.
We pay £2 million every year for Prince Andrew's security. He is not a frontline member of the royal family. He's not a working member of the royal family.
To debate that one, yeah.
Well, precisely. However, Harry has offered, which I think is a very reasonable thing, just because he has left as a working royal...
It's not a reasonable thing. You
if you just let me
can't
finish,
pay the
Kevin,
police, though.
If you just let me finish.
You can't do it.
He does not cease to be a member of the royal family simply because he has stepped down as an HRH. He will be Prince Harry till the day that he dies. I'm not bothered about what he does or doesn't do or how people feel about him. It's about security threat. And obviously there is a level of security threat that would need police intervention.
Yeah, but he
Because
doesn't
private
live here anymore
He doesn't
either,
live
so
here.
that
No,
has
but
an
he's
effect on
only
it as well.
visiting. The police, whenever somebody comes that is going to be of a very, if there's any kind of threat to them, the police will often work with their security to make an assessment. This happens with celebrities. This happens with foreign dignitaries. Certainly, when I was in government and we were working very closely with that very senior level of police, they often were interacting with people of note. And also remember, there are people who've been in politics who are now no longer in the front line who still get police protection
All right,
because they're
let's
seen
just
as
look a little
as
further
threat.
into the not bothering to visit the Queen or not having time or not. So staying in Windsor at Frogmore Cottage, which she, made available to them, and we all know it's not a cottage, it's a mansion. To anybody else, it would be a stately
Great
home.
name.
It's far from a cottage,
Frogmore
my
Cottage.
God. And it's, and not making time to see her. She's 96 years old, for God's sake. And also, what about paying a visit to his brother and sister-in-law? I mean, it could be a flying visit. They could drop in,
They're
say hi.
380 feet away from each other.
So
That's how
close
far
by.
they...
It seems
Well, I think
such a shame, doesn't
there's
it?
two elements there. I think it's a shame they're not seeing the Queen. Remember, she's not in Windsor.
No, I know she's in Balmoral.
She's in
I know, I
Balmoral,
know.
so that is a different
Well, they're halfway
complexion.
there. They're in Manchester.
Well, I mean, she's not like
You know.
right next door in terms of Windsor. I do agree. I think that is a shame, given
shame.
her age and given that she's quite frail and everything that's been going on. I think that would have been a nice thing to do. So I'm not just.
Well, the
praising her
thing
for
is,
everything.
it's not a nice thing not to do it, though. It's a horrible thing not to do it.
Well, whether it's, I mean, I don't think it's a great thing to do. I just think, out for manners, the brother thing is different, right? The rift between them is deep. It is a
But how
deep
do you
rift.
close it if you don't see each other?
There's a lot of stuff that's going on that is very, very difficult for them to heal.
Yeah.
I think the bottom line here. I
William's
think the bottom line
responsibility.
here is that we've got a dysfunctional family here. Right?
Yeah.
They've been dysfunctional for a long time.
Yes.
We shouldn't expect them to be perfect, but equally, I don't think we should take sides. I think if you see something that you think is wrong, you should be able to say it without being accused of being a racist or without being accused of being some kind of misogynist.
I think
you know.
people are only being called racist if they've acted in a racist way.
No, they're not.
I think that's fair.
I've been called racist for criticising Meghan Markle. Oh, you're only doing it because she's black. Why don't you criticise Kate?
But there are-
because she's white. It's not true.
I don't know, Mike.
just think,
I'm
what
not
about
saying
that
you're
bit-
not.
The unfair amount of scrutiny
Yeah.
that we face on Meghan. We were talking literally about Princess Diana last week and the legacy she left and how she went against tradition and norms, and she's the people's princess. Meghan does the same.
Yeah, she's not the people's princess.
Well, she's not the people's princess.
William wants to see Harry
addressing
By the way, Diana
those young
wasn't until
people
a very
in
tragic
that
thing
very
happened to her. The press
pious
hated
way,
Diana.
That's not
and
true.
talking about them being the future and the present and God knows what, you know, as if there's some kind of, encapsulating virtue there, and then not even going to see, not even going to
might,
see the
though.
Queen.
There's-